Hi, this is Making a Brand. Today we are with Tony Shellman,
Hey.
Chaka Wilson,
You.
and Lando Felix, who have made huge strides in the fashion industry with their brilliant marketing and unique styles. They've built brands such as Mecca, Aniche, and Parish Nation. I met Chaka and Tony in 2006 when I started interning for them at Parish Nation.
Right.
They were wonderful mentors for me. And that is what we are going to discuss today: mentorship, building a brand, and the changes the fashion industry has currently.
All right.
So, Chaka, could you tell us a little bit about your mentor?
Wow, it's interesting. Tony just mentioned one of my mentors. I had two mentors. The first one being my sister, Ghana, who was working in the entertainment business since when I was in high school. So at an early age, I recognized that I wanted to be in this business in some capacity, because I went from admiring the artist to admiring the people behind the scenes. So right out of school, I was interning at my sister's PR firm. And while I met Tony, and even when we got started with whatever we were doing, my sister continued to be my mentor. And the second one would be Peter Thomas, who was like a drill sergeant, psycho, but brilliant entrepreneur. And I kind of learned a lot in terms of marketing and branding and events, working under him for a event called How Can I Be Down, the infamous How Can I Be Down.
Tony, how about yourself?
How can I be down? No, I'm just joking. Sorry. Mentors. I guess my mentor was, business-wise, I could honestly say one of my mentors was a lady, Ann O'Neill. She is a school teacher. She was an entrepreneur, but, she's the original side hustle lady. She did 10 jobs, and I watched her do 10 jobs, and she lived on my block down the street from my house. My best friend's mom at the time, And so that was one of my mentors. And then, business-wise, moving into business-wise, I had a bunch of mentors. So like Michael Lesko was a mentor of mine, watching that business grow. A bunch of different people, just watching, really mainly it was like a lot of people on the street, a guy named David Carr, a sales rep guy from back in the day. Just a lot of people. I grew up around a lot of different people, those were my direct mentors at that time, growing up. And I'm starting from when I was little, and, moving out. And again, being in business and trying to just watch people what I thought were doing good business, the Marty Blackstones of the world, that were doing great business, And, Brian Johnson, definitely, watching him do his thing. But also, too, I give a lot of credit to the Shaws. They really kind of guided me as far as mentorship. And, those were like my
Shout
mentors.
out to the Shaws.
Yeah, no doubt. Those are people that, and when you say mentors, I'm just talking about people that I just looked up to and was like, okay, I want to do it like that.
Yes.
And that was a big focus for me.
How about yourself, Lando? Did you have mentors?
Yes, Tony and I actually share similar mentors. Brian Johns, the founders of the Zebra Club, where we got our start in retail. And it was a very unique place in Seattle, where Seattle had a very, the scene for young men's sportswear was booming. And all these entrepreneurs started their clothing brands there. And they said, you know what, let's start a retail shop. So all these guys that started clothing companies, they brought in all these brands, and we were just the shop kids that were working the retail floor. But little did we know that the people, each of the clothing owners they all had staffs. They had merchandisers, they had buyers, they had designers, and we got to work with these guys on a constant basis. And they were always asking us, for feedback. So out of that experience, I met Brian Johnson, I met Michael Lesko, which are I know Tony. That's one of Tony's mentors as well. The Shaws, and a couple of other people in particular that actually helped convince me to move to New York was Lori Mallet, and she ran a brand called Willie Smith.
Oh, wow.
And she was the one that like she was impressed by my sales skills on the sales floor, but she said, you should move to New York. And I was like, wow, and Tony was already in New York at that time. So I was like, wow, if she thinks I can do it, it was kind of like that stamp of approval. Another person just working on the sales floor, just seeing people work every day, was also Alex Calderwood.
Yeah.
And Alex Calderwood went on to big fame, starting Rudy's Barbershop, Ace Hotel. And, he was building all the displays in the stores. And I mean, it was just, I wanted to have his job. To see him be creative. And I was like, wait, you can do this? You get to travel around the world and be creative? I was like, I want to be in this business, so just seeing all those people, it definitely, inspired me to want to pursue this further.
You guys all speak about how inspiration is kind of driving your force with all of your mentors, right? So
Absolutely.
You're actually mentors yourselves. What do you think and how do you feel about being a mentor in this industry? Lando, why don't we start with you?
Oh, wow.
Shocker.
Well, it's what I always think about mentorship. It's a two-way street. You get, the mentees, you get what you put into it. And at the same time, when you're mentoring somebody, the beauty of it is you see that innocence. You see when someone is just fresh and bright coming into the industry. And it reminds me, and it reconnects me to my early, when I was just getting started. And it's exciting, and it's the ability to, they always, two quotes come to mind. If I knew then what I know now, and youth is wasted on the young. Well, you can combine the two, and you don't have to. It's your way to kind of give back, and youth doesn't have to be wasted on the young through mentorship.
How about yourself, Chaka?
Yeah, I think to add on what Lando said, it sort of helps to recharge my batteries because we're a little bit older now, and we had a nice
True story.
long run, and throughout the time we were doing it, we were so caught up and focused on running these businesses that we never really had the opportunity, with the exception of maybe the people we brought on as staff or interns like yourself. But we would get approached by so many young designers when we went to the trade shows, Magic and Project, etc. And aside from giving them a few moments of our time, we never really had the opportunity to sit with them and in some cases help them develop their collections. And we used to see so many potential brilliant designers and brilliant collections, and in a lot of cases never really, got their shine. And you just see how the lack of a good mentor and lack of direction, kind of starves a lot of these young designers, these young entrepreneurs. So one thing that I always said is, as soon as I had the opportunity and the time and bandwidth to work with some young designers, that I would do so. And it helps to, as I said earlier, just kind of recharge my batteries, because we get to live vicariously through the success of these young designers, because in a lot of cases it's just ideas and energy. So when we can add a little information and tutelage to that, and a little direction and a little structure, you get to see some of these designers and some of these collections blossom, and I love to see that, because we were fortunate enough to experience it, a couple of times over. So to now see some of the members of the next generation experience even a fraction of that, it just, it allows me to kind of, recharge and, look for the next project.